What's up, guys? Americano back with another video. As I look at Ethereum's chart, as I look at Total 2, Total 3, and others, I'm not exactly sure how nobody sees this. But not only do these charts not look bad in my opinion, they look like they are gearing up for something massive. In this video, we'll talk about exactly what that is and how you can take advantage. So, let's dive in. Alright guys, obviously a lot on the screen here. We will go ahead and add this back in. Over time, let's just start out relatively bare bones. Again, in each video this week, I'm likely going to talk about it. When we look at things like the 3-day time frame, when we look at things like the 5-day time frame, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, extremely oversold, hitting levels where we typically do find some sort of larger local bottom, something like a April 25, something like a June of 22. So obviously the setup there is pointing to rather bullish, but I think something that people are overlooking and what we'll talk about on Ethereum's chart here to begin with is the fact that not only are these charts oversold, they're oversold for second and even third times while sitting in massive multi-year structures. And the compression that's building in something like this is going to be huge. So first, let's start with Ethereum. I actually find it really interesting is when you see things like this. This is a symmetrical triangle correction that we have pulled up here. But when you see things like bull flags, cup and handle, any classical chart pattern you can name, they're called classical chart patterns for a reason. And that's because they were used during times or created, invented, just recognized, researched, written down, all these things during times when we didn't have computers over long periods of time. Okay. So when they're talking about a cup and handle, they're not talking about Bitcoin's 5-minute chart at the New York Open cup and handle pattern. No. They're talking about soybean futures for the last 15 years in a weekly or monthly cup and handle pattern. And that's why those things typically have a better chance of playing out or why they notice them as a pattern because they were happening over these very long periods of time and with no quick or reliable way for these different parties to communicate with each other like we have today. So if you use that in your trading, just keep that in mind that this stuff was invented 100 years ago or so and not meant for any sort of lower time frame trading if you are somebody who uses these kind of more classical chart patterns. Now, what we're going to talk about here today, I think a lot of people will look at this Ethereum chart and be like, "Oh, we're in a massive bull flag." Now, while that is true, it kind of acts like a bull flag. It is a form of a correction, and that correction is the bull flag in itself. So kind of a little wrinkle or nuance, but did want to bring that up. Now, if we add our A, B, C, D, E in here, now whether I want to put this here or here, I don't think it really matters. We didn't, make a new high in there, so I guess we can just leave it right there. You can see very classical style pattern here playing out over a 4-year period on things like Ethereum, on things like not so much total market cap, things like Total 2, things like Total 2 ES, things like Total 3, things like Total 3 ES, things like others, and showing up time and time and time again. Looking at this kind of final E wave of this correction, while again, like I've pointed to many times, we're sitting at some of the most oversold levels we ever have been in the crypto markets. Now, I'm not going to get into measured moves of this because it's not what I'm going to use to find and sell into the top of the crypto markets. But that kind of level of compression is something that I thought was rather interesting and that I wanted to talk about. One more thing as well. This is the histogram indicator that you guys oftentimes see on here. I wanted to hop onto the monthly time frame and show you guys something when I'm talking about compression. Okay, so again, that ABCDE still holds up on here. Call it a bull flag, call it the correction, whatever have you. We're sitting on top of a level that we broke out from and flipped as support. We have some sort of flag, we have some sort of pennant, however you want to call it, and we also have massive compression on the monthly time frame momentum as well. So, I mean, this thing is coiled about as tight as it can go. And when the setup is coming from an oversold level, coming from a place of max fear, coming from a place of massive compression while we're sitting at range lows, the only way this thing is going to play out is up. So I mentioned at the beginning of this video, how do I take advantage of it? You need to be allocating to the market right now. Despite what people think, you do need to be taking advantage of these cheap crypto prices because when they go away a lot faster than people think, especially when we're sitting at these massively compressed levels. Now, really quickly, and we'll dive into somewhat of lower time frames. But just because I said, I wanted to make the point, like these charts, in my opinion, really don't look all too bad. People are going to look at total two. Solana looks relatively similar to this. Solana is even like messing around down in here. But people will look at this, people will draw bear flags, people will do, whatever they need to do. Now, the way I look at it, we've been this oversold on total two a total of 3 different times, this one being the third. The prior two have marked, again, great times to allocate into the altcoin market. It's where a lot of altcoins found a bottom. Again, it's going to matter what you're buying. This is total two that we're looking at here. So this is going to be, if you bought BNB, XRP, Solana, Ethereum, you did well. That's basically what this chart is telling you. Not only do we have those oversold levels, we have momentum improving on the 3-day time frame, looking to get across in here. And this is something that you see when we start to look at individual coins as well. Now, something we've discussed on Bitcoin and Bitcoin's range. Do we need to go make some sort of bullish divergence? Do we need to go sweep this and kind of have somewhat of a key level marked out in here? Do we need to go sweep that, make some sort of bull div? Obviously, with price and these oscillators in here, kind of looks something like this. All right, boom, boom, something like that. Now, obviously, that's a real possibility. Nobody can predict the exact future. We did do something like that on Bitcoin in 2022. My point is, again, this doesn't really materially change the level of compression that we're seeing on the higher time frames. This doesn't materially change, being in those constructive correction patterns, those classical chart patterns over many years. Does not really change any of that, in my opinion, even if we did get something like that. So that's kind of the gist of this video is market doesn't look as bad as a lot of people think in my opinion. Specifically, the altcoin market doesn't look as bad as a lot of people think. Time will tell. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully, you guys have been enjoying my content recently. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do so. And I also have a free newsletter for you guys. If you go to the link in my bio, you can sign up in there. I'll be sending those out weekly or monthly. Haven't really determined schedule for that yet. I also have a free Discord if you guys are interested in that. And yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.